Hi, my name is Aisha Amjad. I cover the East Bay area in Northern California, reporting to Kayvon's team, and the purpose of this video is to practice the why Spracmessage, make it stronger, and making sure that we convey the right message to the customer. Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. The purpose of this call is to get a quick overview of your current infrastructure right now and what you've invested in 3 to 5 years ago in terms of Oracle and what your future direction is going to look like. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Oracle investment, sort of give you a quick overview on the investments that we've made to update our Sun portfolio since the acquisition. There were very good reasons why you invested in Oracle 5 years ago, and we want to make sure that we update you on our recent innovations so you could keep continuing investing in the Oracle and if it makes sense for you. This discussion will lead us into talking about alternatives for your current environment. Once we introduce you to more cost-effective and technically superior alternatives for refreshing your Spark environment, we would like to get into exactly what would work best for you. That would be basically followed by a brief introduction to your IT staff and talk to them about Oracle strategy and our products and solutions. I would like to follow up with a discovery call, make sure that we can recommend the right things to you, and see if this is something that is a good fit and we can move forward with. Does that sound good? So I want to talk a little bit about how your business has changed over the past couple of years here. We've seen that you guys have had new business opportunities. You guys have added a bunch of new stores to your line, and because of that, as a result, you've seen an explosion in data. In the past 5 years alone, your data has increased 20-fold, and since there is more business, there are more customers, there's obviously more people entering the market. So it's gotten more competitive in your industry in the past couple of years, and of course with all this also comes the regulatory requirements, the need for more security, the need to protect your data, the need to keep up with the speed of your data and to make sure that you're doing the best you can for your customer. A lot has changed in the past couple of years, and it just requires for us to change as well. So to basically accommodate all this 5 years ago, all you had was your hardware, and then you had an operating system on top of that, you ran an app on top of that, and that was all linked to storage, and you would just hope that there was enough storage for you to have. All of this happened in the last couple years. It pushed most IT organizations to basically deploy dedicated servers to each individual application, which meant that most of the time your servers were underutilized and you were paying a lot for each server. So how do we solve that problem? How do we make sure that this is something that you don't keep investing in and underutilization doesn't really pay off for your investment? Does that make sense? So essentially, the way to combat this issue was to basically move from physical deployment to virtual environments. Basically, in virtualization, what you are doing is, you have your hardware piece, and on top of your hardware, you're putting a hypervisor that, is running 2 apps and 2 operating systems. So the apps and operating systems think that, there are 2 servers, but there is really one, but virtualization makes it possible for you to run 2 operating systems and applications, on one server at one time. However, with virtualization, your licensing VMware costs were going up. Usually VMware was deployed as a hypervisor. Linux was introduced as a low-cost operating system alternative, along with some Microsoft apps being virtualized on this platform. Most organizations as a result saw a huge increase in licensing, saw a decrease in CapEx since they were buying more commodity software. So you've got cheaper hardware now, but you also have more expensive licensing costs, VMware is costing you a lot. So this was really becoming harder and harder for our CIOs and CFOs and CTOs of our time today to say, okay, how can I keep the costs down? How can I keep up with the speed of change? How can I manage risk and make sure that my data is secure? And how can I keep up with data growth here? With all of these changes happening in the industry where there was a lot more information, of course the infrastructure was changing from more physical to virtual, and as a result our CIOs and CTOs' goals were also changing. Their goal was now that they wanted to increase productivity through better utilization of their servers, because they could do that, which would increase productivity in IT labor through standardization. You also wanted to lower the cost, which, so you would have fewer servers, basically consolidate, which would typically lower your CapEx spending, and also standardization would lower your IT costs. You wouldn't have to pay a lot of people to take care of your infrastructure. CIOs also really, wanted to more agility. Increased productivity and standardization should reduce the time it takes to certify, deploy, and manage the infrastructure. So now you're not only looking at something that works much faster. You want it cheaper, and you want it to deploy faster. A lot of customers thought that the cloud was the way to go. Many customers were looking at this platform for private cloud or IT service delivery platform. Most realized some easy wins through virtualization, and which is a low-hanging fruit, and going that way. Mr. Customer, this is where we think as a company, as an organization, Sun did not inform their customers properly at the time while the acquisition was happening and all these changes were happening. Sun was going through some major challenges, concern over financial viability, are these projects going to be delayed or canceled, lack of roadmaps out in the market. People didn't know if Oracle was going to continue investing in what they had bought via Sun. Also other big questions like Oracle is a software company, they just bought hardware, would they be able to keep the hardware? How are they going to sync everything together? There was no Spark and Solaris at the time, so people were using VMware. How are we going to take care of all this? So that's what I want to answer for you. And since this acquisition, we've made several promises that were really, really bold for our industry. Everybody thought, doubling performance, making hardware and software work together. Where was that coming from? So we've done it, but we haven't really communicated with you. But we are committed to deliver a range of engineered systems that would drive cost lower and, drive complexity out of your business. In the last couple of years, we've introduced several purpose-built and general-purpose Spark-based engineered system that we could really think would be able to fit into your environment. Like I said, since the acquisition, Oracle has made significant investment in billions of dollars on our Spark and engineered systems portfolio. We've not only refreshed the entire Spark portfolio, but we've made it very easy to deploy, which comes in several ways. These are engineered systems, so integration is already engineered in. This is going to save you several months of deployment time. Oracle software running on Oracle hardware, these are pre-built, tested, optimized solutions where your IT people don't have to sit there for weeks and months at a time to make sure that the two of them talk to each other. This makes things very simple. Fewer physical systems to manage, single vendor support model. You don't have to go to VMware or anyone else. You don't have to sit down and have huge conversations about, hey, how are we going to deploy this so this all works together in sync? This is something that we all take care of you. And of course, then there's increased flexibility. Take your IT budget and spend it on something that is more towards innovation instead of maintenance. Take your resources and who would be deploying these for months, and deploy those resources to something that is actually going to add to the value of the company. With these systems, we've not only decreased our costs, but also decreased the complexity of all the deployment, right? So we talked about how we could decrease both cost and complexity, and we've done that through innovation around the red stack and the engineered system. Of course, you could now grow your business, with easier deployments, you are now taking your resources and putting them something that actually grow your business. Decision making is now much easier. It's reducing the cost and the risk in the IT environment, which allows the company to make better decisions, and makes it easier to comply with regulations in a very quick manner. This all will allow you, to innovate faster. I hope all the information that I gave you will help you make the right decision for your organization. I am more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. In terms of next step, I would actually really like to schedule a technical briefing, schedule it with your IT staff. I would bring my IT resources. We would get them on the phone, talk about the Oracle strategy, talk about your current, our current products and solutions that could fit into your strategy, and, basically conduct a collaborative discovery engagement that will allow us to provide you with a detailed recommendation for modernizing and consolidating, virtualizing, and building a cloud service delivery platform. I hope this really helps, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thank you.